What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sinceres here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video. We're here for April 2nd, 2021's vendor reset. So let's get right into this and see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, head over to Camp Hudson. Here the weapons vendor has a timer suppressor with 7% critical hit chance, 4.50% optimal range, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Hudson. Head over to the gear vendor. Here we got a gunslinger vest with the talent Reckless. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 7% ballistic shield health. For the next gear items, head over to the base of operations. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a model 700. Next here we got a tactical pack with the talent Specialized. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 7% support station duration. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the gear vendor. Here we got a Spec Ops armor with the talent Reckless. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the advanced weaponry vendor, and here we got a military SA-58 if you like to run this weapon. Next here we got a tactical SASG 12K. Next here we got a heavy magazine spring with 3% critical hit chance, 11.50% magazine size, and 10.10% rate of fire. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we got an MP7. Next here we got an operator mask with the talent Enduring. Also here we got an operator vest with the talent Reckless. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a classic M60 blueprint with a gear score of 256. Also here we got a firearms knee pad blueprint with a gear score of 256. Also here we got a vertical grip foliage green blueprint with a power level 34. For our next gear items, head over to Camp Clinton. Here the special equipment vendor has a Liberator if you like this weapon. Next here we have a Pecan if you're a fan for this weapon. Next here we got a lightweight M4. Not a good roll, but I figured I'd mention it. Also here we got a custom M870 MCS. Next here we got a Spec Ops mask with the talent Refreshed on there. Also here we got a tactical vest with the talent Vigorous. Next here we got a tactical pack with the talent Specialized. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Clinton. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a military M9 blueprint with a gear score of 256. We got a snub Rhino blueprint with a gear score of 256. We also got a firearms glove blueprint with a gear score of 256. Next here we have an electronics knee pad blueprint with a gear score of 256. And also here we got a high velocity magazine blueprint with a power level 34. For our next gear items, head over to Wolf's Den. Here the weapons vendor has a military L86 LSW. For our next gear items, head over to Autumn's Hope. Here the gear vendor has a prototype performance mod with 5% support station healing speed. For our next gear items, head over to the Ward. Here the gear vendor has a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal. For our next gear items, head over to the Southpaw. Here the gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent Tenacious on there. For our next gear items, head over to the Grindhouse. Here the weapons vendor has a heavy magazine spring with 2.50% critical hit chance, 4.50% reload speed, and 10.50% rate of fire. For our next gear items, head over to the Firewall. Here the gear vendor has a Spec Ops pack with the talent Inventive on there. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4% turret damage. For our next gear items, head over to the Crypt. Here the weapons vendor has an MP5 ST. For our next gear items, head over to West 31st Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a double barrel shotgun. For our next gear items, head over to West 34th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an Omega rifle suppressor with 18% headshot damage, 2.50% stability, and 2.50% critical hit chance. For our next gear items, head over to West 39th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an enhanced AUG A3P. And also here we got an operator mask with the talent Tenacious. For our next gear items, head over to West 53rd Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype electronics mod with 260 electronics and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. For our next gear items, head over to East 64th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype performance mod with 7% Seeker Mine explosion radius. For our next gear items, head over to the Park Ave Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a black market AK-74. Also here we got an M700 carbon. And also here we got a military L86 LSW. For our next gear items, head over to West 53rd Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical pack with the talent Inventive on there. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 2% pulse critical hit chance. And also here we got a 5.52 hollow sight with 7.50% critical hit chance, 2% accuracy, and 4% critical hit damage. For our next gear items, head over to East 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dart Zone vendor has a first wave M1A. For our next gear items, head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. Here the Dart Zone vendor has a small grip with 18% critical hit damage, 4.50% optimal range, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, head over to East 34th Street checkpoint. Here the Dart Zone vendor has a military P416. For our next gear items, head over to the 5th Ave checkpoint. Here the Dart Zone vendor has a prototype performance mod with 4.50% ballistic shield damage resilience. For our next gear items, head over to DZ2 Safe Room. Here the Dart Zone gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent rehabilitated on there. For our next gear items, head over to DZ3 Safe Room. Here the Dart Zone weapons vendor has a surplus SVD. For our next gear items, head over to DZ5 Safe Room. Here the Dart Zone weapon mod vendor has an extended magazine with 109.50% magazine size, 3% critical hit chance, and 4% critical hit damage. Also here we got an SR7 suppressor with 17% critical hit damage, 2.50% critical hit chance, and 4.50% optimal range. And also here we got a Pro Red Dot sight with 18% critical hit damage, 4% optimal range, and 2.50% stability. For our next gear items, head over to DZ8 Safe Room. Here the Dart Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent Tenacious on there. Next here we got an operator vest with the talent Rapid. Also here we got a tactical pack with the talent Inventive on there. For our next gear items, head over to DZ9 Safe Room. Here the Dart Zone weapon mod vendor has a 5.52 hollow sight with 7.50% critical hit chance, 4% critical hit damage, and 4.50% optimal range. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for April 2nd, 2021's vendor reset. I hope everybody tuned into it, found them something that they needed. Smash on the sub and like button, y'all appreciate that support. And I'll see y'all with the next one, everybody. Take care, peace.